They're breaking through the left flank! Reinforce reserves now! Yes, inbound! Hold! Casualties are high! We need more time! The Eastern Front is collapsing. We need reinforcements now. But the reserves are committed. It's impossible. Find a way. We have no choice.
September 19th, 1944. Dawn breaks over Aricourt, France. German 5th Panzer Army launches Operation Panzerfaust with 262 tanks, their strongest counteroffensive since Normandy. Objective: destroy Patton's bridgehead, stop Third Army's advance. By noon, it's over. Over 80 German tanks destroyed. American losses: 7. Hitler demands answers. His generals have none. One panzer officer would later write, "We attacked an American tank force and found ourselves being hunted like rabbits." And this is the Battle of Aricourt, the largest tank battle fought by U.S. forces in World War II, and the day German high command realized they could no longer win tank battles against Americans. This is what they said when the impossible happened. September 1944. Patton's Third Army had shattered German resistance in Lorraine and established bridgeheads across the Moselle River near Nancy.
The eastern flank is exposed. We must reinforce it now, but that leaves the south vulnerable. It's a risk we must take. Gentlemen, the enemy is here. We attack at dawn. Yes, sir. Flank secured. Reserves are ready. Good. Proceed.
The advance threatened Germany's Saar industrial region, one of the last major manufacturing centers still under control. Adolf Hitler demanded immediate counteroffensive. The order went to General Hasso von Manteuffel, commanding 5th Panzer Army. Recapture Nancy. Destroy the American bridgehead. Stop Patton. Manteuffel was one of Germany's most capable armor commanders, a veteran who understood tank warfare at the highest level. Hitler released forces he could barely spare, the 111th and 113th Panzer Brigades, equipped with Germany's newest Panthers, arguably the best medium tank in the world. Additional forces included the 15th Panzer Grenadier Division and elements of the 21st Panzer Division. Total German strength:
Gentlemen, the situation demands immediate action. The flanks are exposed, mein Herr. Then we reinforce now, Schadol. Yeah! The enemy has broken through. All units, counterattack. Flanking maneuver from the west. Observe reserves and brief. Hold the line.
Approximately 262 tanks and assault guns. The plan was classic German doctrine: concentrated assault on narrow front, breakthrough into enemy rear, encirclement of forward positions. Manteuffel selected Aricourt, where American forces appeared thinly spread, as the breakthrough point. Intelligence suggested American tank units were understrength and could be overwhelmed. German confidence was high. Panthers mounted 75mm guns that could penetrate American Shermans at ranges exceeding 2,000 meters. Tank crews were veterans with years of combat experience. The Americans they would face, 4th Armored Division, were relatively new to sustained tank combat. What German intelligence missed was crucial.
You call this a plan? It's a disaster! But the flanks are collapsing! I want solutions, not excuses, now!
Combat Command A, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Creighton Abrams, held Aricourt. Though outnumbered, 163 American tanks versus 262 German, the Americans had critical advantages German planners didn't appreciate. First was terrain familiarity. American reconnaissance had mapped every approach. Commanders knew fields of fire, concealment positions, engagement ranges for every attack route. Second was artillery coordination. Battalions had pre-registered defensive fire plans covering all approaches. Third was tactical air support. Allied air superiority meant fighter bombers could be called when weather permitted. September 18th evening, American reconnaissance detected German armor concentrations. Forward observers reported extensive vehicle movement. Combat Command A went to full alert. Tank commanders positioned Shermans in hull defilade positions, hull hidden, only turret exposed, maximizing defensive advantages. Americans understood they couldn't match German tanks in armor or gun performance. A Sherman 75mm struggled to penetrate Panther frontal armor even at close range, while Panthers could destroy Shermans at extreme distance. But Americans had learned tactical methods negating German advantages. Use terrain for protection, coordinate multiple tanks against single targets, call artillery to suppress advances, maneuver to attack from vulnerable side and rear angles. As night fell, both forces prepared. German commanders briefed crews on objectives. American tankers loaded ammunition, checked communications, studied terrain. Weather forecasts predicted fog for morning, conditions favoring defenders over attackers navigating unfamiliar terrain. September 19, 1944, 0600 hours. Dense fog covered Ericourt as German armor advanced. The 113th Panzer Brigade led the assault, Panthers and Panzerivores rolling forward. Visibility was less than 50 meters, conditions German commanders believed would provide concealment, but fog worked against attackers. German crews couldn't see terrain features, couldn't identify American positions, bunched together on narrow roads, maintaining cohesion. American defenders, stationary in prepared positions, heard German tanks approaching long before seeing them. At 6:30 hours, lead German tanks emerged from fog directly in front of American positions. Engagement ranges were point-blank, sometimes less than 100 meters. At these distances, American 75mm guns could penetrate even Panther armor. American commanders fired first, often getting off multiple rounds before German crews could identify targets. The German advance became chaos. Tanks hit in lead positions, blocked narrow roads, preventing following vehicles from advancing or maneuvering. German commanders tried deploying into assault lines, but fog and unfamiliar terrain made coordination impossible. Individual Panthers found themselves isolated, surrounded by multiple Shermans attacking from different directions. American tankers used tactics specifically developed for fighting superior German armor. Don't engage frontally, maneuver for side shots, coordinate multiple tanks against single targets. When 4 or 5 Shermans attacked one Panther simultaneously from different angles, technical superiority didn't matter. By 0800 hours, the 113th Panzer Brigade was combat ineffective. Over 40 tanks knocked out. Surviving German tanks withdrew in disorder, abandoning disabled vehicles. The morning's fog, which German commanders thought would aid their attack, had turned battle into close-range melee where American numerical superiority and defensive positioning proved decisive. American losses were remarkably light. 7 tanks destroyed, a few damaged. The disparity seemed impossible. German after-action reports struggled to explain the disaster. Tank crews reported being ambushed, unable to identify targets before being hit, finding themselves surrounded. The fog began lifting around 0900 hours, revealing the battlefield. Dozens of German tanks sat disabled across the approaches. American tankers counted over 40 confirmed losses, plus numerous damaged, but the battle wasn't over. German commanders, unwilling to report complete failure, reorganized surviving forces for afternoon assault. The 111th Panzer Brigade, held in reserve, received orders to renew the attack. The afternoon attack began at 1400 hours. German tanks approached cautiously, trying to engage at range where Panther superiority would be decisive. But American commanders had called air support. As German tanks maneuvered, P-47 Thunderbolts arrived overhead. P-47s carried rockets and bombs designed for attacking armor. German tanks, caught in open terrain, became targets. Pilots dove through light anti-aircraft fire, releasing ordnance that destroyed or damaged vehicles. By 1700 hours, the 111th Panzer Brigade was also combat ineffective. Total German tank losses September 19th, over 80 destroyed or disabled. American losses, 7 destroyed, 14 damaged. The disparity was staggering, unprecedented. September 19th and 20, 1944. As reports from Ericourt reached German High Command, initial reaction was disbelief. The numbers seemed impossible. Over 80 German tanks lost while Americans claimed only 7 destroyed. Someone had made errors. The true losses couldn't be that severe, but additional reports arrived from regiment commanders, division headquarters, Luftwaffe reconnaissance, confirming the catastrophic scope. 2 entire Panzer brigades shattered in single day. The counteroffensive that was supposed to recapture Nancy and stop Patton had collapsed completely. When reports reached Hitler's headquarters, his reaction combined fury and refusal to accept reality. According to staff officers present, Hitler demanded explanations. How could newest German tanks, operated by experienced crews using proven tactics, be destroyed so completely by inferior American equipment? General Hermann Balck, commanding Army Group G, faced Hitler's wrath. Hitler suspected incompetence, poor planning, perhaps cowardice. Balck defended his commanders but couldn't explain the disparity. The truth, that American forces had developed tactics specifically designed to negate German advantages, contradicted Hitler's assumptions about inevitable German superiority. Hitler ordered the offensive continue. Manteuffel received instructions to commit additional forces, resume attacks, capture Aracourt regardless of cost. But Manteuffel understood continuation would simply result in more losses. His tank forces were depleted, morale shattered, and Americans had proven they could destroy German armor with shocking efficiency. The battle continued through September 29th, but German attacks never regained momentum. Each assault resulted in disproportionate losses. By month's end, German tank losses around Aracourt exceeded 200 vehicles destroyed or disabled. American losses, 48 tanks. The Battle of Aracourt had become the largest tank engagement fought by U.S. forces in World War II, and one of the most lopsided Allied victories. German commanders analyzing the battle identified multiple factors. First was American air superiority. German movements in daylight immediately drew fighter-bomber attacks. Second was artillery coordination. Advances were consistently disrupted by massed artillery fire. Third was American tactical proficiency. U.S. tankers had learned to negate German advantages through superior positioning and combined arms. But the psychological impact exceeded tactical lessons. German armor doctrine had assumed superior equipment, and training would offset Allied material advantages. Aracourt shattered those assumptions. American forces, equipped with technically inferior tanks, had destroyed veteran German formations. For German tank crews, Aracourt became cautionary tale. Veterans who survived spoke of American capabilities with respect bordering on fear. One commander later wrote, "After Aracourt, we understood we were no longer hunting Allied armor. We were being hunted." This psychological reversal, from predator to prey, fundamentally altered German confidence. German High Command's official response attempted damage control, emphasizing American material superiority and air power. But senior officers privately acknowledged something more fundamental. American forces had learned to fight tank battles as effectively as Germans, while possessing overwhelming advantages in numbers, logistics, and support. Post-war interrogations of German commanders revealed candid assessments of what went wrong and what it meant for German military capabilities. General Hasso von Manteuffel, who commanded 5th Panzer Army during the battle, provided detailed analysis. The American defense at Aracourt was first class. Your tank commanders showed tactical skill equal to our best. Combined with superiority in numbers, artillery, and air support, the result was inevitable. This was significant acknowledgement from one of Germany's premier armor commanders. Manteuffel specifically credited American tactical skill as matching German standards. Assessment: German commanders rarely made about Allied forces. Lieutenant General Hermann Balck was more critical of German performance while praising American capabilities. We underestimated American tank forces. Their technical proficiency had improved dramatically since Tunisia. By Aracourt, they were employing combined arms tactics we considered exclusively German capabilities. The phrase exclusively German capabilities captured the psychological blow. German military culture had assumed tactical competence would offset Allied material advantages. When American forces demonstrated equivalent tactical skills while possessing material superiority, German strategic calculations became untenable. Colonel Rudolf von Gersdorf, chief intelligence officer, analyzed American evolution. The Americans learned quickly from defeats. At Kasserine in 1943, they were inexperienced. By Aracourt in 1944, they had developed tactics specifically designed to neutralize our technical advantages. This learning curve was faster than we anticipated. German assessments identified specific American advantages. First was communication. American units used radio extensively for coordination. This gave commanders better situational awareness and faster response. Second was combined arms integration. Americans coordinated tanks, infantry, artillery, and air support with precision. One commander noted, "When we attacked American positions, we faced coordinated system including artillery that responded in minutes, air support within an hour, and infantry tank teams defending mutually supporting positions." Third was logistical sustainability. German operations repeatedly stalled when fuel and ammunition ran low. American forces maintained steady supply flow. German officers recognized this reflected organizational competence, not just material abundance. The psychological impact on German crews was significant. Before Aracourt, Panther crews entered battles confident their superior armor would prevail. After Aracourt, German tankers approached engagements cautiously, knowing technical superiority no longer guaranteed victory. This psychological shift affected tactical decisions. German commanders became more defensive, less willing to accept risk. German tanks engaged at maximum range rather than closing to decisive distances. This defensive mentality contradicted German doctrine's emphasis on aggressive action. Perhaps most telling was assessment from Colonel Hans von Luck. After battles like Aricourt, we had to accept that American forces had matched our tactical capabilities while possessing material advantages we couldn't overcome. From that point, we were fighting delaying actions, not seeking victories. The Battle of Aricourt's significance extended far beyond immediate tactical results. It represented a turning point in armored warfare doctrine and validated principles that would shape tank combat for decades. For American forces, Aricourt proved technically inferior equipment could defeat superior armor through tactical innovation. The M4 Sherman, criticized for inadequate armor compared to Panthers, had destroyed German armor at rates exceeding 3.1 when employed properly. This validated American doctrine emphasizing mass production of adequate equipment rather than small numbers of technically superior vehicles. The battle vindicated American combined arms approach. Rather than relying on individual tank superiority, American doctrine integrated tanks with artillery, infantry, engineers, and air power. German tanks might be superior one-on-one, but they rarely fought one-on-one. They faced coordinated teams that negated technical advantages through tactical cooperation. Lieutenant Colonel Creighton Abrams, who commanded Combat Command A, became legendary for his aggressive tactics. His methods, rapid maneuver, concentration of force, coordination with supporting arms, became templates for American armor doctrine. Years later, the M1 Abrams tank would be named in his honor. For German forces, Aricourt forced painful reassessment. The assumption that tactical superiority would offset Allied material advantages had been foundational. When that proved false, when Americans demonstrated tactical capabilities matching German standards while possessing material superiority, German strategic calculations became untenable. The battle accelerated psychological shift among German tankers. Before Aricourt, crews approached engagements confident. After Aricourt, confidence gave way to caution. German tank operations became increasingly defensive, reactive. This mentality contradicted armor warfare's principles and further degraded effectiveness. Modern military analysis emphasizes enduring lessons. First, tactical innovation can overcome technical disadvantage. American tankers developed specific methods for defeating superior armor. These remain relevant to modern tactics. Second, combined arms integration multiplies effectiveness. Individual systems have limitations. Properly coordinated, they create capabilities exceeding the sum of parts. Aricourt demonstrated this as German tanks were systematically destroyed by coordinated teams. Third, training and doctrine matter as much as equipment. German tanks were technically superior, but American tactical doctrine proved more effective. This influenced post-war development, emphasizing that technological superiority alone doesn't guarantee victory. The battle influenced Cold War armor development. NATO forces, facing potential conflict with Soviet armor, studied Aricourt's lessons. Technical inferiority could be overcome through tactical innovation, combined arms coordination, exploitation of weaknesses. These principles shaped NATO doctrine throughout the Cold War. German military professionals after the war studied Aricourt as example of how tactical competence, combined arms, and proper terrain use could defeat technically superior forces. The Bundeswehr incorporated these lessons, ironically learning from the battle where Americans had defeated German formations. What German High Command said about Aricourt ultimately mattered less than what the battle demonstrated. American forces had evolved from inexperienced troops rooted at Kasserine to armor formations capable of destroying elite German units. That evolution, completed in less than 2 years, represented remarkable achievement and signaled German hopes for tactical superiority were finished.